morning, my friends. We are back for another exciting week of math, and I promise you, this is the last week that we are going to be covering word problems. I know that you guys are going to be experts. So, our week I can statement is I can use cubes to solve word problems. I already know that you guys are professionals at cubes because you guys have been sending in pictures. Shout out to Bryson, shout out to Devante, and shout out to Dante, who have been crushing it with their math work this week. Keep up the awesome job. I also want to give out a shout out to Rebel as well, as she's been doing a great job as well. Super proud of you guys. Today's I can statement, I'm going to put it up on the board and then we're going to repeat it. Give me a second. Repeat after me. I can solve word problems by identifying place value. So if you guys remember when we were in school, we slightly spoke about place value and we connected some other important words when we're talking about place value. So in our definition box today, we're going to have some keywords that are going to help us this week as we continue to jump into place value. So I'm going to make my definition box. And I'm going to put some keywords in my definition box. Obviously, our first keyword is place value. We need to be able to identify what place value is and define it. When we're talking about place value, we also are going to be focusing in on two different places. We're going to focus in on the tens place and the ones place. And the last word, well, the last two words that I'm going to put in my definition box are two words that we're going to be using when we are either adding or subtracting. And I know you guys have heard of these words because I've spent some time. It's our vertical and horizontal. So I'm going to put those words in and then we are going to define our definitions in our definition box. In order to define place value, I have to think of something important. It has the word place, and it's talking about the value of that place. So the way that I will define place value is the position of a number. The position, and position is just a fancy word of way of saying place. So the position of a number that gives its value. And I know that this may be a little bit complicated, but don't worry, I'm going to give an example in just a few moments. So, when I'm talking about tens place, what am I speaking about? Well, the position where I will find my what? Yes, my tens. So it's usually the second position to the left. So second position to the left. Then we have our ones place. Well, if the tens place is the second position to the left, then my ones place is the first position in my number. And I'm going to explain the positions in just a second. Okay, then we have something that's called horizontal. So when we're talking about horizontal, are we moving up and down or left and right? Yes, horizontal is left to right. And then I have vertical. Vertical, are we moving left to right or up and down? Awesome, up and down. Now, as I promised you guys, we're going to get an example of place value. So I'm going to write a number on the board, and then I'm going to use my definitions so that you guys can see and hear how I'm putting my definitions into play with an actual number. So I'm going to choose one of my favorite numbers, and I would choose the number 15. Okay, so place value says the position of a number that gives its value. Well, if I look at the position of the 5, I know that this 5 is it going to be my tens place or my ones place. Well, let me read my definitions to see. When we read numbers, we'll say 15. But when we're doing problem sets, we always start from the left to the right. So we'll read our number, but we always start adding. When we're adding, this is going up and down, so we'll call this vertically. When we're adding vertically, we'll start from the left to the right. Well, my tens place says that it's the second position to the left. Well, we're starting at the left. We're starting where? Yes, we're starting at the left and we're moving to the right. So if my tens place is the second position to the left, that means that I'm starting at the, yes, left, and I'm going to count how many spaces over? Yes, 2 spaces. So 1, 2. So any numbers that are in the second position are my tens. Okay. So I have my tens place. My ones place says first position in my number. Well, when we read numbers, when we're adding vertically, we start left to right. So what is the first number that I have here? Oh, 5. So this will be my ones place. So my definition is helping me solve this, okay? So now because I'm looking at these numbers and I see their position, my 5 is in my ones place or in the position of the ones, and my 1 is in the tens place or in the position of the ones. The way that I will break down this number will be, well, how many tens do I have? I have 1 10, so I know that this one really equals 10. And how many ones do I have? I have 5 ones. And 10 plus 5 will give me this 15. That's how we bring it together. Awesome. Okay, so let's continue. Now that we have broken this all down, we're going to be using our place value to help us solve our word problems. I'm going to get our problem set up on the board. If you need to rewind this position so that you can understand our definition words today, please do so. Rewatch it until you understand it. Give me a few seconds as I write our word problem on the board. So our problem says today 13 fish were swimming in the pond. 11 more fish joined. How many fish are swimming altogether? Well, we know that the first step in solving our problems is using cubes. C, we know, stands for, yes, circle the key numbers. So let's look through our word problem and get that done. So we have the number 13 and we have the number 11. U stands for, correct, underline the question. So I'm looking for a question word and I see a question mark. So how many fish are swimming all together? Now I know what the question is asking me. B stands for box in math words. This is the way that we are able to figure out what we're going to be doing today. So if I'm looking, 13 fish were swimming in the pond. No math word there. 11 more fish joined. That word more lets me know something. How many fish are swimming all together? All together also lets me know something. The word more means that I'm going to add or subtract. Awesome. I'm going to add. So I'll put a plus sign there. So we box in our math words. Then we have to evaluate. This is when I start to put my number sentence. Remember last week and the week before we were working on number sentence. This is when I put my number sentence together. So I have two numbers. Am I having a missing add-in? No, because we don't see and we didn't hear the word sum. So it's giving me two different parts. So I have 13 and I also have the number 11. Okay. Then I see the word more and altogether. Both of these numbers let me know that I'm going to be using the operation of addition. And I'm trying to figure out how many are all together. Now I'm going to move on to my next part, which is my S, my solve. If you guys remember, I said earlier that there are two ways to write our number sentence. We can write it horizontally or vertically. Right now, Mr. Nieves has written his number sentence horizontally. But this week, we're focusing in on solving by place value. And in order to make it a little easier to solve when we're using place value, we want to write our addition sentences vertically. Awesome. So how would I change this from a horizontal addition sentence to a vertical addition sentence? I have to put the numbers on top of each other. So I have a 13 here. So I'm going to write 13 here. Then let me space that out a little bit. That way we could work with our 10s and our 1s. So I have 13 here. And then I want to add how many more? 11. Awesome. So I'm going to erase this because we're focusing in on solving today horizontally. I'm sorry, vertically. Okay. So we have 13 plus 11. Well, the first thing that I want to do is I want to break this up by place value. So I'm going to draw my line down the middle in between the numbers so I can separate their place value. Okay. If I remember, when I was doing my ones place, I said my ones place is always the first position in a number. And when we read numbers, when we're adding them, we read them starting from left to right. When we do our math work, we start from left to right. Okay, so that means that the first position that I have here is the 3 and the 1. This is called my ones place. Then I said that my tens place is the second position to the left. So if I move 2 spaces to the left, I have 1, 2. This is called my, tens place. Now I want to solve my work. When I solve my work, I solve it starting from the ones place and then to the tens place. This is important for you to remember. We always solve starting from the left to the right. How do we solve? Starting from the, left to the right. So I'll read my first part. So I'm only focusing on my ones place. So I would say that 3 plus 1 equals something. Because Mr. Nieves wants to make sure that his work is correct, he always draws a picture. So I'm going to draw 3 counters here and 1 counter here. Okay, I have 3 plus 1 equals what? Well, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 ones. Then on this side, so I'm done with my ones. I finished it because I have an answer down here. On this side, I have my tens. So I'm not going to do 13 plus 11. Nope, I'm going to focus on my tens here. 1 10 plus another 10 equals how many tens? So if I have 1 10 plus another 10, now I have, 2 tens. So I'll write the number 2 down here. I wouldn't read this number 2, 4. We split our place value up. Now we're going to put it together to read our number. I would read this number as, let me hear it. Great job, 24. So how many fish are swimming all together? 24. What are we talking about? Awesome. 24 fish swim. Don't forget to label your answer. If you are having any difficulty with this, rewatch the video before you get into your own work. I know you guys are going to crush it. We're going to continue practicing it this week. So if you didn't get it today, rewatch the video, but don't worry because tomorrow we'll be able to practice some more. Great job. I'll see you guys tomorrow.